Now to that new polling. It shows Harris leading in those key swing states. Take a look. Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania. Here with us is former Minnesota governor and former presidential candidate Tim Pawlenty. Governor, welcome back.
Good morning. Good to be back.
What does Trump and his campaign need to do to turn these numbers around? They're not quite within the margin of error, but still very close. What would you tell them?
Well, I think this shows that the Harris-Walz ticket is going to be much more formidable than many Republicans first thought. I think they thought because of her underwhelming performance as VP, this was going to be a not easy, but a doable campaign. And now they're getting a different message. And I think what they're going to have to do is appeal to those so-called Nikki Haley voters. They missed two chances to do that. One was to do a reset after the shooting with a better convention speech. The other was to pick somebody like Nikki Haley as VP. They missed both of those opportunities. I don't know that Trump can change and appeal to those voters now, so he may have to pursue a strategy to make the Harris-Walz ticket even worse in the eyes of these swing voters, so they have no choice but to reconsider Trump.
Let's talk about an article that's making headlines this morning. It's from the New York Times. It says Trump used vulgar language to describe Harris. We should note the Trump campaign has denied these claims, but there is a video that surfaced. It shows that Trump could be using vulgar language. Look, I said this to the team this morning. It's not the first time a politician has been caught with a hot mic. But Governor, can you talk to me about the tightrope that politicians walk, even when they think they're off camera?
Yeah, I don't have my reading glasses on, so I couldn't read that type quick enough when you put it up there. But, I think people are told nowadays in modern politics, you have to assume you are always on a hot mic, unless you're in the privacy of your own home or some other very protected environment. So the notion that somebody accidentally stumbles into a hot mic situation, you can't say you weren't warned, because all these candidates are warned, and you got to have the discipline to make sure you keep your mouth, properly emitting things and all the time. And it's hard to do, especially when you're undisciplined, like President Trump tends to be.
Yeah, Trump's campaign has repeatedly said discipline when talking off mic is probably not his strongest suit. Let's talk policy. Harris last night saying no tax on tips. Of course, we've heard the former president introduce this very policy. Trump doesn't believe that Harris would do it if she gets elected. How would you deal with an opponent copying a position that you took the lead on months ago?
I'm sure it's frustrating for the Trump campaign. It's a clever move by the Harris campaign, and it's an appealing issue. If you're a service worker in the country and you don't have to pay taxes on tips, that's a great thing. But by the way, Hena, think of the fairness of that issue. And I support it, by the way. But if you're a server in a bar, you don't have to pay taxes on your tips. But if you're the janitor, you have to pay full taxes on your modest salary for cleaning the toilets and scrubbing the floor. You can see how it would set up some inequities.
Absolutely. I've been looking forward to this interview, Governor, for many reasons. One is the insight you have on Harris's running mate, Tim Walz. Like you, a former governor of Minnesota, you've worked with him in the state. What is your read on him, not only as a leader, but how he led your state? How was it working with him?
I know Tim Walz. I've done a bunch of things with him. I like him. He's a folksy, likable, friendly person. He's a good communicator, as you've seen on the campaign trail. He's energetic. He gives a good speech. But the reality is he is a self-declared most progressive governor in the country, now combined with a senator who is ranked as the most liberal senator in the United States Senate. Those two things represent the most progressive, some would say socialist, national ticket in the modern history, if not the history of the country. I don't know if the country's ready for that. I don't think they are. But the problem, of course, is their alternative is Donald Trump, and he's got his own baggage and lots of it. So those in-between voters, those voters who don't like either ticket, are going to be in a dilemma. But as to Governor Walz, he's basically, I like to call him Bernie Sanders in hunting gear. That kind of sums it up.
I like that analogy. You are a vocal advocate for former presidential candidate Nikki Haley. We've talked about it on this show. In recent weeks, for Democrats and, of course, those centrist Republicans to win over those votes, those are crucial. How does Trump and the GOP stop this from happening, having people like Adam Kinzinger and others support Harris instead of Trump?
Yeah, I think he missed a terrific opportunity at that convention after the shooting. If he would have come out and said, look, I know I haven't been perfect. I've learned some things. I'm still going to be Donald Trump. I'm still going to fight like a dog. I'm still going to, speak very bluntly like Trump. But I'm going to be a little bit better about unity and decency and a few other things. And I think that would have been appealing to those swing voters. I don't know that he can change in 86 days. So I think what they're going to do now is try to be as negative as possible.
Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.